and welcome to Way Out Radio, episode 25, and this week we're in Russia. So last week I mentioned a friend of mine called Serge who was helping me out over in Ukraine, and luckily when I landed in Moscow he put me in touch with a friend of his called Vlad, who was a musician over here. So we decided to meet up and we went record shopping, and it was amazing because Vlad is like super enthusiastic. He's just a ball of energy and he's so nice, and it was lovely to spend some time with him and go and flick through some records and hear all about his view of the music scene here, which he's really positive about and he does a lot actually. So that was really cool. So Vlad told me that there was a festival going on over in St Petersburg and that he wanted to send me over there, even though he couldn't go, to check it out. He arranged for me to meet up with some friends of his on the other side. So basically I just trusted him and said, okay, I'll go see these bands over in St Petersburg. Now that's about the distance of about 350 miles. It's kind of like going from London to Edinburgh. A bigger journey than I would do on a whim in England, but this is Russia, so you just have to go with it really. And I was keen to get involved and see some bands and find out about the scene, so I couldn't turn down the offer of guest list to go see a bunch of Russian bands. So he booked me a taxi and I went over to a club because I was catching the night train, so I had time to go and hang out and see a few bands before the train left at 2 in the morning. So I went over to Night School, which is my favourite club over there, where me and Sasha had DJed the week before, and then I caught the night train with the help of the staff there. They drove me over there and helped me buy a ticket. And I had a bed on the train, so I was on the top bunk, and it was like kind of like prison on wheels, but you just fall asleep and don't worry about it, and when you wake up you're there. So when I got to the other end, then the bass player from the original Shitmakers met up with me and took me sightseeing for the day before the gig, so that was really fun. And then he introduced me to a bunch of his friends and musicians who were really, really nice, and then they got me involved in a Russian tradition, which is drinking shots of vodka and then eating a pickle in between. And apparently it's supposed to stop you from getting a hangover and stop you getting so wasted. I know for a fact that I can't sit there and drink shots and still be functioning, but I danced all night and talked to everyone all night. So this pickle thing, it works, it's real. Thank you, Russia. So all of his friends were so cool and so nice, and a lot of them spoke English as well, so they were just chatting away to me and I felt really at home, really welcoming music scene there. And then we all went to this gig and I saw the original Shitmakers play. Burger Queen and a bunch of other bands, and the place was like wall-to-wall chaos. Everyone was dancing, the bands were incredible, their live performance is so good, so strong, and I really enjoyed myself, and I met a load of really nice people. And then after we saw those bands on the indoor stage, we went just next door and they had like an outdoor stage with loads of ska bands on, so I was absolutely in my element. I was dancing to all these Trojan ska tracks and proper skinhead reggae like all night. It was so good. And they had this live band play and they had a guy on the sax, but he looked exactly like Joey Ramone. It was so weird because he had like Joey Ramone's head and the sunglasses and the haircut, and then he was dressed like a skinhead, and then he was playing a saxophone. It was like so confusing, but he was a really nice guy and just danced all night and it was brilliant. Then a bunch of us went off to a house party after that, so it was just like really fun, really crazy, and just loads of vodka. And those guys, they have a reputation for drinking, but seriously, they can drink. It was so good. So I hung out with all the bands in St Petersburg for a few more days, and it was really nice. What a great weekend it was. And then after that, a few of the musicians that I was with mentioned that they were driving a van all the way back to Moscow, and they said I could jump in with them. So we had this road trip back to Moscow, and it was really fun. They let me DJ. We were all playing different songs from the laptop and drinking a lot of vodka, apart from the driver, of course, who was very responsible, and I have massive respect for him. But we were wasted and we had a huge party in this van for about 15 hours all the way back to Moscow. Then that night we stayed at their friend's house in Moscow, and they had a really nice flat, and I said, oh, hi, like, so what do you do then? And he said, oh, I'm a professional snowboarder. It was really random. Then the next day we got back in the van so that we could go back to the metro and I could go back to where I was staying. And we got in the van and there was a random carpet in there. So I turned to my friend and I said, where'd that carpet come from? And he said, don't you remember? You stole it from a church on the way back. I was like, whoa, I must have been really drunk.